howdy! How's about that Nintendo Switch 2? Eh? What an impressive piece of hardware. I've spent the past several days getting to grips with it, and I've discovered that it comes with an extra special add-on. Pure, unmitigated temerity. Hey gang, it's a new console time! Are you hyped for the hype? You drooling, ravenous pay pigs? You rotting hogs, sweating and snorting in your fucking sties? Eat it! Go and eat it! Eat the hype, swallow it down! Nintendo's put out a follow-up to one of the best video game systems of all time, you useless chimps! Be excited or go off and fucking drown! We're here to give you the straight dope and the bent meth on Nintendo's Nintendo Switch 2 by Nintendo. In this non-exclusive review, we're gonna look at the game changer of a console and talk about how it changes the game, not just the prices of the game. Can you say game changer? Well, can you? Say it then. Say it. Say it! The Nintendo Switch 2 at its core does exactly what I would want it to do. It's the Nintendo Switch. But again, that's legit not sarcasm either. Not that any part of this review would ever be sarcastic, I do legit mean it when I say that one of the best things about the system is how it's a linear continuation of the Switch. Historically, Nintendo has returned to the drawing board with its new systems, completely reworking the hardware and associated gimmicks. The Switch was such a great concept, however, that it deserved to stick around, a point borne out by the stunning market longevity the original had. The Switch 2 carries on with the home system handheld hybridization, but bugger and some great bigger shit. How did autocorrect change that to bugger? Oh right, it's me. The Switch 2 carries on with the home system handheld hybridization, but bigger and with some improvements. The new way of attaching controllers in handheld mode is pretty great, magnetizing to the sides with a satisfying snap. Naturally, the screen is much bigger with increased resolution, but it's still been kept lightweight, certainly nowhere near as bulky as a Steam Deck. Now, the only thing that's been bulked up is the MSRP of AAA video games. What else do I like? Oh yeah, universal button mapping. This is a genuinely good console accessibility feature. The Switch 2 allows you to remap buttons and use the new layout across games, with profile save slots, so you can, say, swap the minus and plus buttons for Cyberpunk 2077, because why would you attach the more commonly used menu to the least convenient button on a Joy-Con, for Christ's sake?
The fuck is wrong with you?
In lieu of games like that having sensible control schemes or options thereof, the Switch 2's got an answer. Now, my extensive research has concluded that you can give your Switch 2 a nickname, but Nintendo's famous hatred of the something-th amendment means you can't call it Stephanie's fuckpad. However, you can name it Cunny Stuffers Anonymous, so that's very good news. Virtual game cards are just downloads with extra steps. Really don't like how it keeps forcing me out of the eShop whenever I get something, all to support Nintendo's addiction to cutesy inefficiency. On the eShop front though, it no longer runs like it's cosplaying pre-dial-up internet. It's able to load things quickly and load them. Like, at all. This is great because it means quicker access to products that are doing all they can to become unaffordable to all but a handful. Oh wow, it's a way more powerful machine, capable of running many more contemporary games with bumped up resolutions and frame rates. While it obviously has some focus on pure graphical power, the Switch 2 has a particular favour for performance. Not only is it capable of 120 FPS, it doesn't pull a Sony and push it like ray tracing that allegedly makes games look better, but actually doesn't because it tanks the frame rate, which literally makes a game look worse. Its clear frame rate is more important, which again, good stuff. Speaking of rates, the tariffs have nothing to do with any of Nintendo's recent pricing decisions. They said so themselves, and any publishers blaming them as if they've not wanted to push games closer to $100 a pop for years is a lying dollop of cum. Gosh, does Mario Kart World Tour look amazing though? You know, every now and then I veer toward a slight amount of cynicism in my work, but let me tell you, any sneering I'm capable of just melts off my face at something this vibrant, colourful and just plain gorgeous. World Tour is a wonderful time. Its childlike happiness obscuring the cold corporate calculations of a company charging whatever it thinks it can get away with. It's still got my boy Drybones in it, the best Skeleturtle, so it's nailed the important part, but it has a bunch of new racers pulled from some interesting places, including a whole bunch of enemy mooks. It's just a super fun roster. Is it $80 of super fun though? That's the question. Is Mario Kart World Tour big enough, bold enough? Is it videos game enough to deserve a retail price of $79.99? Well, you know, still has Drybones in it, and it's got a crab. Wait. Is that a lobster bike? Did they put a drivable lobster in? I thought Drybones was important. Wait. This is a lobster bike? Nintendo? I was wrong to ever doubt you? You were on the money, take my money. It's a lobster fucking bike! Oh, an increasing number of people can't afford to pay their power bills. The wheels are in his claws, like a little trike. What really deserves your time and money, though, is the old shit that just couldn't be maximised on the original Switch. Super Mario 3D Land, for example, probably looks and runs way better than it did, but I haven't played it in over 5 years and can't remember without a direct comparison that I'm too lazy to set up. Don't worry, though, I can tell you how much better Pokemon Violet runs. The performance on that was so bad I can't ever forget it, so let's give that a... Oh, Pokemon Violet doesn't support cloud saves and the Switch 2 doesn't support the SD card that's in my Switch. Oh damn, it's not like I can transfer the data from the old Switch. I already threw that one into a furnace. Oh mate, fuck going through that again. Nah, comparison's off. Wait, how are people going to afford some fancy new SD card when they need their money to keep up with the game industry's price hikes? Nintendo's charging $10 for an interactive user manual. Anyway, Cyberpunk 2077 is on the Switch at last, and it really makes me wish Mario Kart World Tour took a few cues from it. I'd love to customise Luigi's dick size and foreskin and give him a wazzo pair of jugs. All you need to know about Cyberpunk 2077 is that it runs superbly well on the Switch 2 and it doesn't crash in the first hour like it did for me. Of course, when it comes to old shit, what you really need to be hot for are the Switch games that have been given a full Switch 2 overhaul. Be hot for it! Leading the way on this is Zelda of the Zelda, which along with its sequel, Zelda 2, Zelda of the Zelda 2, has been repackaged as Zelda of the Zelda Switch 2 Zelda Edition of the Zelda. Fuck me hard and grimily up my infernal arse if this isn't the good shit right here. It looks amazing, runs beautifully, the cost of living crisis is literally murdering people, and it plays smoother than it ever did before. It's been so good to return to Hyrule, where the weapons break only slightly more than Cyberpunk 2077 still does. Don't let the haters say otherwise, but Tears of the Thing is an absolute steal at just $79.99. If you could call a re-release of a $70 game with an $80 price tag one thing, it's a steal. An unequivocal, bona fide steal. Daylight fucking robbery. They didn't even add nipples for the extra money. As you can see, Nintendo Switch 2 The Return of Jafar is the hottest thing on the market. Almost as desirable as an apartment with reasonably affordable rent. But don't assume I've described everything this system has to offer, don't you shitting dare. No, just when you thought things couldn't be more exciting, just when the enticement looked to be at its peak, when you're as disgusted as you think it's possible to be, the Nintendo has one more trick up its sleeve to prove beyond all vag that it's the industry's premium innovator. Yeah, do you remember when I said they're charging $10 for a user manual? Brace your fucking self. I genuinely couldn't believe my eyes when I saw it, but Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour is basically if Astro's Playroom replaced its charm with sterility, its platforming with Flash-era browser games, and its freeness with a price tag. Wii Sports came out with the Wii and did its job so well that to many casual users it was the Wii. Welcome Tour is sold as a separate product and is mostly a series of banal quizzes about the hardware. The thing is impressively fucking cheap. Cheap and lazy, and I wholeheartedly mean that. It is lazy. There's no hyperbole involved in the comparison to shitty browser games. This is how they chose to showcase the controller's hot, exciting new mouse properties. Dragging some fucking clip art around. It's incredible how fucking dreadful, how dated, how unimpressive Welcome Tour manages to make the Switch 2 look. The sheer gulf between what they increase the price to and what they decrease the quality to is almost like a fucking parody of capitalism in shitification's madness, digitally enshrined. Whoever came up with this concept is an incompetent fucking tool, and I'm not even talking about the price, which I attribute more to malice than stupidity. No, this piece of garbageware literally gets everything wrong about how to design a useful tech demo. You absolutely should not present each individual component of your hardware in isolation so it can be scrutinized and held under a microscope, especially not with features that aren't guaranteed to hold up to said scrutiny. Yeah, make people spot the difference between 120 FPS and 60 FPS without even showing them side to side, even though not everyone can immediately see the difference. These are all very good ideas, you moronic fucking rifles. Welcome to drags not just the Switch 2, but the tech it employs down with its low effort imbecility. Like, holy shit. The hell is this crap? What? Y'all couldn't afford the rights to use Mii's? It wasn't enough to normalise charging $80 for games in an economy that's devastated all but the corpo who ruined it. Nintendo's just tried to redefine the demo as a product for purchase. It didn't even have the flimsiest ribbon of decency to make said demo any better than a shovelware mobile game. It's beyond fucking sad that the follow-up to one of my favourite systems of all time is something I wasn't even excited about, because I can't help seeing it as the harbinger of a new low for the industry. The prices for games killed my enthusiasm, and the $10 demo just sealed the miserable deal. At this stage, I can't even say I'm disappointed, as that would suggest I had any respect left for any major publisher or platform holder. There isn't a word for how I feel. It's altogether colder than anger, it's deeper than disgust. Nintendo appears to have turned fully heel with the Switch 2. The company was, of course, never anybody's friend, and it's shown itself to be plenty slimy before, but I've been in awe at just how much they've ramped things up, and so quickly too. I think it's safe to say the old guard are out, and a new breed of executive dickwipes are in at Nintendo. Make no mistake, Satoru Iwata, Reggie Fils-Aimé, these men were still suits. They weren't your pals, no matter how gifable they were. But they had more class than the monsters in charge now could ever have.
You look like a real jerk.
Well, I am a corporate executive.
Not to pull a things were better back in my day before they closed the factory down and took the jelly out of pork pies, but like, things were more affordable at least. Don't listen to the clown comics who say, oh, games cost more in the past they did. Mate, I've been alive a long time. I've been on both sides of the poverty line, and I can tell you money went further back then. And we had a big used games market too, where Nintendo couldn't set a single price for a game and then keep it costing that much forever without ever lowering. In short, the Nintendo Switch 2's Temerity would get a 10 out of 10, but it's frankly off the fucking charts. Yeah, that'll do. The Switch 2, innit? Videos game is horrible now. Oh well, guess I'll go back to playing Deltarune on it. Suppose video games aren't all bad. Thank God for me.